Hey guys, what's going on? So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about something that really gets to me. Because me, as a skinny guy, I have a lot of trouble putting on muscle because I'm the body type they would typically call an ectomorph. And I am the furthest, most deepest rooted ectomorph known to man. Not really, but there's probably worse than I am. But you get the gist of what I'm saying. I have a really hard time putting on weight. I have a hard time putting on muscle, and I have a hard time putting on fat even. So a lot of people are going to typically say like, wow man, that's the best thing you could possibly get. Like, you can't put on fat. Like, you can lose weight like crazy. Like, sure, I can lose 5-6 pounds overnight because of water and fat loss, but that's not really a good thing for me because first off, my goal is to get bigger, and as I'm going to get bigger, it's going to be more and more of a struggle. So what I've found over the couple of years that I've been doing like stricter dieting for my certain body type, I realized a couple things are held true as to what are the things that are going to get me to where I need to get to. So first and foremost, when you're an ectomorph, you got to really focus on a lot of muscular contractions and a lot of heavy compound movements. So what I would typically do is for a workout, right? I'll structure it so that I start out with a heavy movement. Say I'm doing my deadlift one day, or I'm doing my bench one day, or something of that nature. I'll start with a heavy compound so that I can really get the muscles firing, and those kind of muscle fibers will get burnt out right from the get-go. So my strength, because my strength is probably my weaker suit, will get knocked out because as an ectomorph, I'm also probably more endurance-based than I am strength-based. So I'm getting my strength in first so I have all of my energy to push towards that to tear all of those different muscle fibers. After that's done, I'm not going to isolation. I'm going to kind of concentrated movements. So for instance, let's say I'm doing my back, right? I'm going to start off with my deadlift. I'm going to go super heavy. I'm going to get that shit crushed out. After that's done, I'm going to go to something like a row, or I'm going to do like a bent over row or something of that nature, and I'm going to go slow with it, and I'm going to really squeeze the muscle, and I'm going to contract it so that way I'm putting time under tension on the muscle to constantly tear it, and then I'm also putting a heavy enough load on it so that it's got to get used to that. So I'm a little bit choppy with the movement, but I'm pretty fluent enough to the fact where I can contract the right muscles and leave everything else out of the equation. Now, what I'll do is I'll typically do like that one heavy compound, and then I'll do like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 different things for the isolated kind of contraction muscle, like a workout, like the hypertrophy you would call it. So pretty much after I've done those 3 to 4, and I want to be careful with the 3 to 4 as well. I don't want to do too much because as an ectomorph, it's going to be easier for me to burn a lot quicker than a person that's like an endo and they come in and they could just go through like a 2-3 hour workout and not get depleted. For me, I mean personally, after about an hour and a half, I can notice that my stomach is like getting really like tight and everything like that. I can notice that like I can feel the acid building up because I'm starting to get really hungry and my body is starting to be depleted of its natural resources. And as an ectomorph, if you're trying to gain muscle and you feel that hunger throughout your workout, go take care of that because you don't want to be losing anything from this because your objective right here is to gain. So you want to make sure you always have a full stomach too. That's one big important thing, and I'm going to touch on that in just a second. For the workout portion though, let's say I'm doing back for instance again. So yes, I have my one heavy compound and I got 3 to 4 accessory movements for that muscle group that I want to work. After that, I'll go and do some accessory movements for like my bicep or something of that nature, but nothing too crazy. I'll do like 1 or 2 exercises. And with these exercises, I'm going super slow and I'm really just focusing on contracting the muscle and making sure all the focus is on the muscle. I'm not trying to go quick because I'm not trying to get my heart rate elevated. Because if I get my heart rate elevated, I'm going to start burning more. I'm going to start utilizing more resources that I don't already have to expend on the workout. So right from the get-go, you want to keep a really moderate heart rate. You want to really make sure you're contracting the muscle in the proper form. And as long as you're doing those 2-3 things that I'm telling you right there, you're going to see a major improvement. But then it steps outside of that. And like I was saying before, we have to go to the diet portion, right? With the diet being included, you have to make sure you're consuming a lot of carbohydrates and a decent amount of fat. I know a lot of dudes are going to say do protein, do protein, do protein. Go for protein. Don't go anything higher than about a pound, like a gram per pound of your body weight, because there's no reason to have anything more than even 0.82 grams per pound. But let's not get all crazy scientific. Let's make it easy for you. Let's say you weigh 160 like I do, right? You're going to take 160 grams of protein, and you don't need anything more than that as long as you space it out properly throughout your day. Now, throughout the day, you're going to want to push a lot of carbs, and you're going to want to push a lot of shitty carbs and a lot of pretty complex carbs. You're going to want to cycle them out a little bit. So for me personally, what I'll do is in the morning, I will eat some complex carbohydrates. I'll have like my eggs, and I'll put the eggs inside of my brown rice, and I'll have like 2 cups brown rice, maybe even 3 cups sometimes, just so that way I have something constantly churning in my stomach as I'm waking up and moving around. And then I'm going to start putting other crap in my body that's probably not the best. Like, honestly, you want, as an ectomorph, you got to think of it this way. If an endomorph is pushing out simple sugars, right? Because it makes them put on weight easily. Because it's easily stored. Those are going to be some of your best friends. I know you're going to want to eat clean. I try to eat my cleanest that I possibly can, but sometimes I have to have like a Pop-Tart or something. I have to put something really dense in sugar and shit so that my body just wants to suck it in and take it and hold it, because otherwise my body's going to churn around all day with these complex carbohydrates, and I'm going to be doing the same thing that an endomorph would be doing, and that would make no sense at all, because they lose weight very slow, I lose weight super quick, so it doesn't make any sense. You have to have a good blend of that stuff, because although, yes, it's not the best and most ideal thing for having nice solid abs, but you know what? If your goal is to get that much weight on, you're going to have to push for something that's going to allow you to keep weight on so that you can constantly develop and feed your body. From that, I'm telling you right now, like, I'm having anywhere between 400 to 500 grams of carbohydrates at least each day. That's because I'm having that many carbohydrates. I'm having about anywhere between, I don't know, like 130 to 160 grams of protein, and then I'll have anywhere between 80 to 120 grams of fat. This is all depending on my split, and this split shouldn't be used all for you. You can try that split if you'd like to, but honestly, this is what I'm finding is working best for me, because for the month or two that I've been really honestly keeping steady with it, because I've been diverted with work and whatnot, but I've been steady with getting those 500 grams of carbs, 500 grams of carbs, 100 grams of fat, and then like 150 grams of protein. To combine that, that's my bare bone minimum. And with doing that, I've gained a pound in the past month already, which is pretty damn good. So I'm not going to stop there, and I'm going to continuously keep doing this, because it's worked for me in the past and it works for me now, because I know that my body responds differently to most people's bodies. And if you're an ectomorph, you can completely agree with me right here. It's difficult to hold any weight to your body, right? So what you need to do is feed it. Feed it in the ways that most people won't feed it, because those are the things that are going to get you to where you need to get to. Have some red meat in your diet. Don't be afraid of that shit, because you need creatine, you need all the L-glutamine, all of the different essentials from the meat. You need the fat, and you need all of that good stuff like the protein, the fat, and all of the different things that are included in the meat, because there's a lot of vitamins and stuff that are in there that you would never have imagined that are just in your supplements that you take. And if you can just eat meat instead of going to get some supplements from GNC, you could spend a lot more money on your food and a lot less money on bullshit supplementation that's going to kind of push you over the edge. Same thing for mass gainers. Like, a mass gainer shake is great and all if you can't eat a meal, but if you can eat a full meal and have like mashed potatoes, or you can have like brown rice or regular rice or something of that nature, it's way better than having those mass gainers, because all those mass gainers is just 2 scoops of protein and a shit ton of carb powder. That's all they're really doing. So you're spending a ton of money on a mass gainer when you could spend like a quarter of that on a fucking meal. A wholehearted meal that your body has to take time to break down and absorb into your body. I just want to get that clear. So, if you're like me, you know it's difficult to gain weight. But these are some of the tricks that I've been using over the years, and it keeps on working, so I'm going to keep on going with it. And I'm not going to stop until I get to that weight, because you know what? Before, I had, like years back, I was like, oh man, I don't know if it's going to work. And this is when I started really paying attention to the diet. I was like, I don't know if it's going to work. Maybe I'm just not meant to put on muscle. But I started at around 100 or 105 pounds maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and now I'm 160. So you know what? I'm going to keep pushing through. I'm not going to let anything stop me. I'm going to keep eating the fuck out of those carbs, getting all that fat in and getting all that protein in, and constantly hitting the gym at the right amount of volume. You want a lot of volume, but you don't want too much volume because, like I said, you can burn it off. But as with everything on the internet, you could take this with a grain of salt or you can use this to your benefit. Take it easy.